Okay, so here we go for week 3 of the Winter Crit Series. I apparently didn't put in the title correctly on the race. It just says the name of the course, Volcano Circuit. This is the Joe versus the Volcano. All of our races are named after movies this year. I think they were named after, was it movies last year too? I can't remember if it was movies or songs. But yeah, so Joe versus the Volcano this week. A lot of our racers from the previous 2 weeks are out. So there are a lot of points up for grabs. I am still not racing tonight. Had a little bit of a downturn in my health situation in the last 48 hours, so I wasn't even sure I was going to be on here streaming. But we are up and we are going here. We have 21 people in the field so far, which is about where we've been size-wise every week, about 20 people each week. But some of the regular riders that have been participating the last 2 weeks are absent tonight. A lot of real-world outdoor road races going on this coming weekend, and so they are prepping for that and or saving their legs, etc. And so there are probably going to be a lot of people grabbing higher points than in the past tonight, and a lot of people grabbing points that haven't previously. So we do have a bunch of new riders tonight. It is 5 laps around the course tonight. When we get to see the course, you'll see that it is a relatively flat course with one little kicker here and there each lap, basically. I guess I can't change my view until the race starts here, so. But we'll take a look at the course and talk through it as we go. And we should be off in about 90 seconds. I'm typing in the wrong window here. No, I don't know if I'll catch her because I don't know her name. Let's see. Adelaide, probably. So Martin's, our reigning series champion, has his 12-year-old daughter racing tonight. That's awesome. And I think Don, his son Ryan, might be racing tonight too. We'll see if I can find his name. Don't see him yet. All right, here we go. 1 second, and we're rolling. And there we go. We're looking on Coach Carl's view. Coach Carl racing for the Velo team. Oh, let's get up towards the front here if we can. I don't have any game sound for some reason. Not sure why that is. Maybe that's a Discord function. Man, we got somebody way up off the front. Let's see. Who is it? I can't even see who that is up the road. Is that David Reynolds? No, David. I mean, we got 10 watts a kilogram going off the gut. Holy cow. That is David Reynolds. Wow. Off like a cannon. Look at that. Just as stylish on Zwift as he is in real life, too. That is the avatar of a true content creator right there. And we now have Martin has caught back up with him and is onto this first little kicker. You can see we're at a 2% grade. This part that we're on now is not repeated. This is the entrance to the volcano circuit, which if you look up here on the top right, it will veer off towards this gray area at the very top right. So Ted and Martin have kind of gone up the road from everyone else. They are doing decent power. Oh, Sebastian now comes on to the front here. It looks like we got a few people chasing back on. It looks like the group is going to come back together. I thought maybe Ted and Martin we're going to run away and hide. Ted and Martin have been in the... we're in the top 2 last week. The time trial, the results were a little bit different. Martin has won both weeks. Ted was on the podium last week, along with Martin and Ben Proco. And Sebastian, who put down a blistering, I believe he was 2nd or 3rd in the time trial. I don't recall off the top of my head. One of our juniors that was in the race series last year, racing for the Velo team this year, the All Kick Juniors, and put down a sub 4-minute time on the time trial in week 1. Missed last week and is here racing again. We'll give him a thumbs up for going up the front. Looks like he shut it down a little bit. I'm not sure if he's doing a workout or if he's actually racing for the win. Some of these juniors are on programs with Coach Carl and will race a little bit and then go into workout programs sometimes. And sometimes they're out here trying to win. And like I said, Sebastian put down a monster time. Oh, there's Ben up near the front where we're accustomed to seeing him. Frank, I believe, was not here last week, but put down an excellent time trial time as well. Super strong rider. I have lost to Frank in road races before, just as a guy I've lost to Ben in road races. There's a lot of people I've lost to in these events. And then here we have Christian, Sebastian's dad, who also racing, well, not for All Kick Juniors, but for the Greater Houston Cycling Federation, which is the organization that helps with the track. Is this Dalton? Yep, Dalton Copeland, another one of our juniors out here racing. Trying to go through and make sure I catch them all. Dave Milham from Cryogen out here. He's a regular racer. He's missing his teammate. Justin Stracy has been in this series the last 2 or 3 years. Usually he's out here, but David's racing looks like solo this time around. Did we give Ben a thumbs up yet? Yeah, we did. We caught him. Let's see, who else do we have? Some of the names I don't recognize because they're new. We have Chip Voss. That's a new one this week. Brandon Mabe, or Mabe, I'm not sure how to say that. New this week. Adelaide, Martin's daughter. Oh, and Ryan is in the race, Don's kid. So we might have a majority junior racers tonight. So 1, 2, Paul Matthews. I'm not familiar with who that is either. 3, Isaiah Mendoza. 4, Seth. 5, Tegan. 6, 7. We have 7 juniors, so not a majority, but at least 7. At least 7, just glancing through the list that I've counted so far. And we've got a pretty solid group up on the front. You can see this sort of, it's not really an hourglass. I don't know what you would call this shape. Broken cookie? I don't know with the two, but this sort of shape, they are going to do 5 laps around this, essentially. They are still on lap 1. Let's see what we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 9 or 10? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, it looks like, in the front group with an 8-second gap back to David Reynolds, who's riding in what I always call the most painful position in the race, where you are trying to... Let's go take a look at nope, missed him. Here he is. Now he can see the front group still, and the back group is up the hill about to come down this snake towards him. So they can still see him right now, but they're probably about to lose sight of him. 18-second gap he's got on them. So he's a long ways from the people in front of him, and he's a long ways from the people behind him. He's going to have a painful day unless he... at this point, it's a difficult determination. You have to determine, do you have enough in the tank to stay ahead of the group behind you and go deep by yourself if you're not going to catch the group in front of you? Or do you sit up and let them catch you and then try to repass them later? We'll go back up to the front and just sort of look through the names up here at the front. We've got Ben, Sebastian, Bo, Wally, David, Frank, Ted. Why do I see Frank on here twice? Oh, he just changed positions on me. I was looking at the list. Is Dalton up here? Oh, yeah, Dalton's up here also. Moving up through the pack. There we go. Caught him 5th. We have a few of the same kits up here, the Wahooligan kits. So not always the easiest to see, but we've got decent representation. A few juniors up front, a few masters racers. And then if we move back to, let's see, there's David, but let's go back to the group behind him. We have Isaiah with a now kind of separated himself from Chip and Seth and Robert and Coach Carl. Wow, he's actually, Isaiah is breaking away from the chase pack, kind of the Peloton group on his own here. Wow. He's making a go for it. So he may actually, if he keeps this up, catch up with David, and then he might have a group there. But you see he's now basically equidistant from David. And the big group behind him, which is this group, Coach Carl, Seth, Chip, who is the Torchy's Tacos? Is that, I don't know who Torchy's Tacos is. I'm trying to find it here. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, Robert Bottomer, that's who it is. Okay. And then we go back towards the front here. Who is that up front? Is that Frank? Frank and Ben have, looks like, made a small attack. They're not getting away, though. The group is pretty, it's very hard to get away from a group in strong racers. If you're even equally powered, you're in some trouble trying to get away remotely. Not even if you're equally powered, even if you're remotely close. I mean, a watt a kilogram stronger in real life, you can diesel away from people, but not if the entire group is working against you. And there are some team tactics. We see Ted trying to chase down Martin, who has the arrow, so he is going with a full attack here. Full on 5 watts a kilogram that he's holding. Ted is really ripping it, but you can see, look at the numbers all down the line, 6s, 7s, 5s, 7s. I mean, the group is not want to let this get away, and they shouldn't. Martin is, I think, definitively proven to be the strongest rider in these fields week after week. And so there are some breakaways you let go. If you don't believe that it's going to succeed, I mean, maybe that person won't hold it the entire way. But the group knows that Martin is extremely dangerous. And so if he goes, you have to go. Now he's at 4 is not going to be enough to stay away from the group. And you can see Ted is doing a lot of work here. And the group's going to catch him. And what happens, bike racing strategy, for those of you that don't watch a lot of road racing or criterium racing, if you're typically a track racer or a mountain biker or a triathlete, which we do have a huge representation, Martin included, of triathletes, the group is going to catch on at some point. Perhaps, I don't know. They are actually, it looks like Martin and Ted might want to stay away. I don't know. I don't know if Martin is just baiting out all of Ted's power here. Ted is on Discord with me. I'm not talking to him right now, but I could talk to him. I'm not going to coach him up here because I don't really know what is happening. If it's a team strategy, what Martin is going to do is just attack Ted, burn him up, and then when this group that is slightly behind them catches on, the group back here, which still has them in sight, they're not letting them get away. As soon as the group pulls them back, then one of the people in this group behind them, this group that see this view, we're looking up the road now. They've got them well in their sights. As soon as they catch on to the 2 up the front, then somebody from this group, if they're working with Martin, will put in another attack, because then it's harder for Ted to chase that attack down. And then if he does, and the group then brings that back, then they will attack again. And that's the strategy when teams are working together and you don't have teammates that just will kill you. Or if more teams, if you have more representation, more riders, I should say, in the front group catches on and then sends somebody else and then sends somebody else. So that's why teammates are important. And even if it's somebody who's not going to win the race, if you don't know what their abilities are, we have some racers up here, and they're not all necessarily super familiar with each other. Ted and Martin and Ben and Frank and Wally and a lot of these guys know each other, but some of them are kind of unknown to each other because they raced other disciplines or haven't done this series before. And so you don't know if somebody goes up the road and they really don't have any chance of winning the race, but you don't know that. It's a gamble. It's a calculated risk whether you let them go or not. And they're all back together now. We are, let's see here. I can't see. Oh, there we go. 7.8 kilometers into the event. And so we are not quite halfway yet, but we are getting closer. And it's all together. Let's double check. Probably the same 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Yep. Yep, still 10 riders, guys. Still 10 riders.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was me saying 10 riders to Ted. Again, I am observing and should be impartial here, but Ted and I have been riding together on Zwift on Thursdays for a very long time. And in the past, when it was the Cypress Motorsport Blender team versus Northwest Cycling primarily, my job as a racer was very often trying to get Ted in position to win with some sprints, because Ted is a national champion track sprinter and is not built to. And I say he's not built to. That's not his specialty. He doesn't like to chase down attacks over and over again. He's certainly proven it. He's strong enough to do that. But when I'm there, that's my job, is to prevent that from happening or to chase them down for Ted. So he is playing with less bullets than some of the other people if they're working together. I don't know if there's a lot of teamwork between what I would have suspected in years past would have been, Martin and Ben and Frank and, Bo and some of these guys that are all, triathletes. They do other disciplines too, but that have raced triathletes before and are maybe not all associated with Cypress. So we're on lap 4, or maybe, lap 4. Associated with Cypress Multisport Blender would have been working together. I don't know if that's the case or if they're working independently or individually tonight. There may be, groups of 2 working together. I'm not sure what their strategy is. But typically they have been a very well-coordinated team that has one of the better strategies each week. And we'll see what happens. Not a lot happening. Let's go back and check out some of the other riders in the race. Who is this? Wally, who says it is in 10th, but is... Oh, wow. So he has come off the front group. So there's now 9 in the front group. Wally's come off, and he is now in no man's land. He's a full minute up on the next group, but it looks like he's given up the chase on the front group. This is Wally's first race this season. It's good to have him back. Thanks for racing with us, Wally. And then... Martin's saying something. I don't know if that's a bait or not. I'll jump up if I see it. So here we go back at the chase group. We have Seth, Coach Carl, David Reynolds, who looks like he did drop back to this group then to work together. Tegan Morgan. Is Isaiah with them? Oh, Isaiah is just off and looks like is fighting to catch back on. Then we have another group of 3 back here with, let's see here, Christian, is it Brandon? Sorry, I forgot his name already. Brandon and Robert, or I'm sorry, Chip. And then we have Robert. And back here, we have Annette. And this is men and women racing. Then we have Ryan and Adelaide. All right, so let's go back up to the front because, oh, wow. Yep, they are going really hard here. 523 watts. Martin's putting out. That's 5.5 kilograms. Watts kilogram. He's over 6 now. See that Bo is matching, but you can see the riders back here, Ted and Sebastian, everyone else doing a lot of power, but still Martin is just driving a train at 50 kilos an hour. For those of you that are on Imperial, 32 kilometers an hour is 20 miles an hour. So that is 50 is blazing fast. Yeah, they're really starting to string it out now. Oops, went a little too far. So now Ben is up on the front, it looks like. If we look back, yep, the front group is really starting to shatter. And we can see Frank is got a little bit of separation. He's come off. Paul is with Frank. They are still in striking range. It's a question of whether or not the front group lets off the gas to let them catch back on at this point. It looks like they are going to find their way back on. It's a small gap, but that gap and we have one coming off again. Oh, that's not coming off. Sorry, that's Ryan coming through the front group, filtering their way past Ryan right now. All right, so the front group looks like it is. Is this a full selection now? Not quite. I'm not ready to say that Frank and Paul are off yet. They're fighting. Yeah, Frank doing over 5.5 watts a kilo. Excuse me. Trying to stay on here. Let's go back to a front view. It looks. Oh man! But you see in front of him, they're doing the same power. They're doing 4. They're doing 6. They have all got it's really stringing out, and they've got a benefit of a draft. Frank might be getting a slight draft from this far, but now I don't know. And especially on this hill, you can see that this might be where they try to break the race open. Ben putting in a huge effort here. Everybody going deep into the big red numbers. Ben's got a little bit of a gap. It's Martin immediately behind him, Ted immediately behind him. But they are definitely, I don't know if I can get the sky view in here yet. Not really. Let's see if we can do a view where we get a better idea of how much it's strung out. No, that's the size. Oh, yeah, it's definitely stringing out now. So we've got Ben off the front. A group of 3 with one right behind that, and then it's really coming apart back there. Ted's was doing 4. It looks like he's kind of done his share of the work. David and Martin still sitting in. Sebastian also up here. Oh, 3 now. Okay. So that's 3 complete laps, 2 to go. And what the triathletes do not want to see, and Ben is a mixed discipline. You know, he does try stuff, but he's a road racer, very experienced road racer. What they don't want to see is Sebastian and Ted right with them at the finish line. They want to break this off from, 500 meters out at the end, or 1,000 meters out, a full kilo to go. They do not want Ted and Sebastian there, who are, not just, they're not exclusively track racers. They're, they both know how to race criteriums, but the track racers tend to have a big sprint. And Ted 100% has a big sprint. And Sebastian is no slouch either. So if those two are here at the end, that's not good news for everyone else. And so what they want to do is separate this race as much as they can. That looks like that's Annette coming up. 1 lap now behind the lead group. Which, again, there is no shame in being lapped in this event. There are people who race at elite levels. We have national champions. We have people who have run state road race championships in this race. So if you're not on their level, that there is no shame in that. I'm certainly not on their level. I'm pretty happy usually when I finish with the front group. I never really have a chance to win, but I can often finish with the front group. And there we see an attack. Well, no, not an attack. Just riding over. Ted's got a new kit on this week. So I didn't recognize him at first. But he is, I don't know. I'm not going to tell him to not work. But it looks like the group back here is kind of sharking. And if Ted gets away, he's... Oh, no, okay, he shut it down. That's probably wise. I wouldn't try to hold 5 the rest of the way. Because you have a lot of people back here that are very motivated to not let that happen. And honestly, what Ted and Sebastian want is they just want to let the group work really hard. Even if it's really fast, the group keeping it fast is fine as long as there aren't a lot of attacks. If they can just ride consistently in there, and I say that, and here goes an attack. And Martin at 8, Ben at double digits, Ted at double digits. They're going really hard here, trying to break the field again. And they might do it. We'll see. Ben and Martin both still doing 5. You see Ted sitting in, catching the draft. He's got the arrow. That negates a lot. And then immediately we see, well, no, not quite shutting it down. He's still holding 4. But yeah, that aerodynamic draft power up really negates a lot of the burst. That's what you want to hold on to in a sprint. It can add a lot of speed. But if somebody attacks and you have the draft power up, there's a thing that makes the draft more significant. But if they take off past you and you don't catch the draft immediately, that may not save you. The aero power up is basically the equivalent of having a perfect draft. And you have to put out less watts for the same speed. So when an attack happens, if you're holding on to one of those, it really negates that. Similarly, if you have one at the very end of the race, it's a big deal because you will be able to do a sprint that somebody is going to probably have to go, if you're doing it with let's say you're sprinting at 7.5 with an aero power up, somebody's probably going to have to come over the top of you with like a 9.0 or higher to beat that. It's a significant power up. I think most people in competitive Zwift racing probably consider the aerodynamic to be the strongest power up available. And the draft one's not bad either. And some of the other ones are kind of novelties. There's a ghost one that makes you invisible briefly. Theoretically, if you were going to launch a very late attack, you kind of drop off of everyone's rider list. All right, so we are down to how many riders now? 4. It looks like Frank, Ben, Ted, and Martin. David is now 5 seconds back. Bo is just behind him. So it is, and there goes Martin yet again. He is relentless. This is not something that will, you don't know the moment it's surprising in that you don't know when it's happening, but everybody who is up here knows that Martin is going to continue to attack relentlessly. Martin knows that he has the power and the strength generally to outride most people, and that's a very viable strategy. Martin does not want Ted here at the end. Neither does Ben. We have our top 3 from last week yet again at the front. Looks like Frank is, well, we'll see. He's working hard. Looks like Martin and Ben have shut it down. And there is at least a momentary truce. I can promise you that this ceasefire will not take. There will be, and here comes Frank back. So I don't know if that's something among these racers in that they wanted Frank up here to help with what's to come, or if they all just did an attack, burned all but their last match, and are now kind of waiting for the final match to burn, because that's what we're going to see here. Both Ben and Frank know Ben and Martin know that they don't want Ted here. I don't know if Frank is familiar with Ted, but I suspect that there may be communication going on between Ben and he. They're very familiar with each other. Great job, Ted. It's just you and these 3. Great job.
Oh, okay. I'm tired.
Yeah, they've been attacking you. I expect that you'll see another one. I don't think you're going to get a 100-meter sprint for it. I think they're probably going to try and ditch you beforehand, but you have done outstanding work. Really good job.
Thanks.
So, yeah, it's pretty unbelievable that a track sprinter who's specializing in 200-meter efforts, at least in the recent past, is staying with these guys. And also Ted is 20 years older than they are. So, Ted is the national champion in the 60-plus category. So he is racing against people much younger than him. I don't know the exact ages for Martin and Ben, but I know Ben is pretty close, probably to my age, maybe slightly younger. I'm in my early 40s. So the fact that Ted is trading punches with these guys is awesome. And the fact that we have juniors in here, from ages, and I don't know how young Ryan is. I know that we have several that are, probably between 10 and 15 or 16, that are, really performing well. And I would be shocked if we don't see them earning points this week. So looks like Ben is off the front slightly. I don't think that is Martin letting him go. I think Martin's just kind of biding his time. Frank still.
I think that's it.
If so, great effort. Nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, if they go and you can't follow, there's nothing wrong, Ted. But they're going to hit the gas one more time. Just be aware. It's coming. All right, so Ben is... It looks like Martin is kind of separated himself. And again, if they're working together, Ben might be cooked. I doubt it. He doesn't really get cooked. But at this point, if they're working together, there is zero reason for him to keep up with Martin and give Ted a free ride. There we see Christian making his rounds. Stylish socks, as always. And there go Ben, Frank, and Ted on their way by. And we have Robert Bottomer back here, just behind, 4 seconds behind Christian. This could tighten up at the end. Did I miss it? There we go. Okay. We'll go back up to the front here because we still have a race in contention. Martin is 4 seconds up. I don't suspect... Well, nope, there goes Ben. So that tells me that they're probably not working together. Well, maybe not. He shut it down instantly. Maybe just to catch the downhill here for a break. But if they're working together, if they're working as a team, there's nobody... If anybody is working with Martin, they don't put in an effort here. Because then the other two get a free draft up to Martin. So anybody who is on Martin's team or working with Martin in a friendly capacity doesn't put in a big effort here because they don't want the other two to get pulled up to his wheel. So Martin, I mean, again, these numbers don't look crazy, 4.0, but compared to what we've seen during the race, but 4.0, 30 minutes into a race where you've been going all out is a lot. And Ben also going hard, but you can see Martin is I think probably got enough of a gap at this point that we're not going to see these guys. And Ben is putting in a heroic effort here. And there he kind of shuts. Frank might come over the top. He had the numbers for let's see. That's so weird because Frank has the same bike and kit that I wear in the game, so it's a little confusing. I keep thinking that's me. Yeah, Martin's gone at this point. He's really hitting this hill hard. So that's, well, okay. Now, Ben, this is not to catch Martin so much as it is, I think, for second place points on the podium. And this is probably everything he's got. The finish line is coming up just around the bend here. Let's see if he's got... Yep, he's got... I think Ben's got enough of a gap that he's probably got second. It's you and Frank for third. Oh, wait. So is Martin is letting Ben win. So he's giving him the bonus points for the win. So they are working together. Or maybe Martin is just giving away the points. And here we have the race for third with Frank and Ted. And I'm not sure who got it. Was that the last lap? Oh, maybe that was not the last lap. Oh, wow. I thought that was the last lap. Wow. Again, I can see the total. I should have just looked at the total distance of the race and known it from there. But so this is a little bit longer than last week's distance-wise. Okay, so that is not the last lap. So Martin was not letting Ben win necessarily. I just didn't know what lap it was. They are still right together, so they might still have a go at each other at the end here. And now Frank and Ted are in mortal combat here. And it looks like Frank still has enough juice in the tank. Well, they're close. But it looks like Frank has probably got a little bit more gas still. And then if we drop back, we see David, who I believe is currently in 5th place with 20 seconds or so up on Bo. And then the next back is about another 30 seconds back from them when we drop back to Paul. And who is competing with him? Who is that? That is Dalton. Okay, so Dalton and Paul in 7th and 8th. All right, let's hop back up. So Ted is going to look like we have our podium probably sorted other than the top 2. Ben and Martin out in 1st and 2nd place, respectively. Right here, you can see Frank a ways back, and now Ted is separated from him. And then Ted is still in a full 30 seconds. You're still a full 30 seconds up on David behind you, Ted, so you can just keep your eye on him, and you got 4th place locked up as long as you don't let him catch you, which at this point you'd have to stop riding, I think, for that to happen. So just save your legs and take the points for 4th at this point.
All right.
Okay, so we will stay up at the front for a little while longer just to see if there are any fireworks for 1st place between... Oh! And Frank has come back. That's the arrow... not the arrow, the draft power-up that he's using right there. Oh. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath, getting a little lightheaded. If I walk away, I'll leave the race going, but if I get too lightheaded, I'm going to have to step away from commenting real quick. So we now have a 3-person front group, and Ben is... well, he was going, but now I think he knows that... Well, I don't know what he knows. I really have no idea what the dynamic is between these 3, if they're talking, if they have a plan, if they have an agreement. It seems a bit wild to me that Frank was able to pull these 2 back. So I don't know if there's some collaboration here, or maybe it's not even collaboration. Maybe they're just like, hey, I bet you can't outsprint me, and that's what's going on. Who knows? Again, no idea what's happening. It doesn't especially matter. But now we have 3 people coming to the line to contest the win. We have Ted back of them, just out of line of sight right now. David, who can see Ted just going, he's got to come around this bend and down. He can see Ted up the road, but 30 seconds up the road. And then back to Bo, who is not too far behind. He's about 30 seconds, so same distance from Ted to David as David to Bo, and then the same distance from Bo to Paul back there with, who was that? Was that Dalton? Dalton, yeah. So, and then we've got a big group back there about 2 minutes back from Dalton that will definitely check in towards the end of the race, because that's going to be a fun bunch sprint at the end. So Ben has now separated himself by 2 seconds. I said earlier that Ben was going to win, and then all 3 of them got back together, which was surprising. So I'm not going to make any calls on that at this point. But he has a 2-second gap, not insurmountable, but it's getting more and more insurmountable with every foot he travels here. The finish line is coming up just around this curve. There's a little S here that he goes through. It turns to the right, turns to the left, turns to the right, and then it's over. He's popping the arrow. He's forced ahead. This is Ben's race at this point. Frank and Martin riding in together. This looks a lot like, especially with these 2 dropping down into the 2s and 3s, like a collaborative effort to arrange the points in a specific way. So we'll watch Ben as he just passes Isaiah come across the finish line here. There is your race winner, Ben Proco, and it looks like Martin and Frank had some sort of agreement that has fallen apart, or maybe they're just having some fun. It looked like Frank got 2nd, Martin goes 3rd. Here we have Ted coming in 4th. crossing the line in fourth. And then we will jump
Oh.
back to David. Great job, Ted. Good race. Sorry I wasn't there to help, buddy, but that was really solid work.
Okay.
So here we had, so Ted crosses
That was a
in
very
fourth.
hard workout.
That is I like the kit bike combination that David has going here. It's a stylish combo on the felt with the matching frame and kit and even glasses. Well done. So David with a solid fifth. Then we've got Bo coming in. Looks like he will be in sixth. And then let's drop back here because it looks like we got something going on between Dalton and Paul. Yeah, we have Dalton is really going after it. They're both putting out over 7. I mean, he's up in the double digits now. This is and he's popping the feather, which makes him a little lighter on that climb, trying to stay on. But Dalton looks like he is trying to lock up a top 7 with the old man mustache avatar. Very nice. It's still fairly close. Let's take a look, see how long we have to go to the finish. They're coming into the S curve now. And Dalton is putting it down again. And it looks like Paul he knows that Dalton has it at this point. So great job, Dalton, coming across in 7th place. Paul will roll across with points for 8th place. And then we jump back and we have a solid-sized group here. It looks like we've got David Reynolds, Carl Jones, Wally Wilkins, and Seth. Is Seth in there? Yep, there he goes. There's Seth. So, yeah, a group of 4. And they are fighting for, it looks like, what is that? Wally's in 9th. So it's just 9th, 10th, 11th. Yep, 9th. Wait, that can't be right. There's 4. 9th, 10th, 11th. 9th through 12th place being sorted out in a pretty large group here. And then it looks like we have Ryan and Annette back there, which we will... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. The next group back would probably be this one, which is Isaiah. So we'll check back in there in a second. They're all listed on the route. I'm just trying to watch the time gaps to determine who was in what place there. So we have a group of 4. Looks like Carl and Wally are in the same group, coming in, fighting for 9th through 12th, coming to the line. There's 4 of them together.
Very cool.
And Seth, is Seth a track racer?
I see him.
Seth
once or
Holland?
twice.
Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's Seth Holland, Carl, Wally, and David Reynolds, who's one of the C-Mob guys. And they're all coming to the line. They're all going for it now. They're coming to the line here in probably about 30 seconds. And right now, it looks like...
telling me that he was using this as his FTP test.
Who was using it as an FTP test?
Martin?
Oh, so Martin just told Ted he was using it as a
FTP
FTP test.
test.
The race is an FTP test. So, okay, so now we've got a real race going on here. Wally looks like he is trying to get away. He is really working hard here. The group is not very far behind, and here comes the rest of the group up this little kicker to the right, and then we're finished. Are they going to be... Oh, here we go. We've got a real race. Here comes David.
Seth is a triathlete and track.
Then we got David going over the top. And it looks like it's going to be David, then Wally. Oh, then I'm not sure who got it after that. Seth coming in back. I'm told that Seth is triathlete and track. So excellent job. He's in with a top 12 finish. I lost my racers. Here we go. We have a number. Is he coming into the finish? That does not seem like it. Because I was on people who finished the race, I'm now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find my way back to the people who are still in the event now, because I crossed the finish line on a rider who's no longer in the event. And so I don't know if I have any way of getting back to the other riders who are still in the event. Unfortunately, here we go. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So here we have Christian. Let's move up the road a little bit. So let's see, 16th, 13th. All right, that's where we want to be, right? 13th. Okay, so Isaiah will be the next one to cross the line in 13th place. He has 18 seconds on Tegan, which at this point in the race is a pretty big gap. At any point in a race is a pretty big gap. You base it by the amount of distance left. And so it looks like he is going to roll across with a 13th place. Can't see the chase in the rear view yet. Nothing back there coming around the bend. So Tegan is far enough back that this is definitely safe. So congratulations to Isaiah coming in 13th. You can see here comes, if you look at it's hard to see on the stream. They're probably too small, but there are dots that represent all the riders up here. We can see who's about to cross the line. So Tegan looks like 14th locked up. If we look behind, there's a minute back to the next one. And then he's a minute in front of and in behind. And then the next closest we have is Robert and Christian are only 9 seconds apart. There is the view from Robert, and you can see Christian just behind him. Maybe it'll be easier to see if I get Christian. And then you can see kind of the wheels up there of Robert going. So they're close. I don't know if we'll stay with this just for a little bit longer. Just to see if Christian goes after it here. I think Christian's riding because he enjoys it. I don't think he's going to turn himself inside out to make up one place at the end of this race, but you never know. He is matching power and or going harder than that time gap is coming down. We're down to 6 or 7 seconds here. We'll see when we come around this corner because we'll be able to see with the S curve here. Oh, wow, no. He's got a real chance. They come around this curve. You can see it on the map, hard switch back each way. So if Robert sits up too much on the downslope and Christian keeps working, he's going to make up some of the gap right here. It looks like he's doing about a watt a kilo more. And he can see, that's the advantage he has, is he can see and pace himself based on what he sees in front of him. There's a carrot dangling, whereas, Robert's kind of running from at this point.
So I have to because I don't know which cookies to take because these are only 15, and then from this moment on,
that gap is down to 4 seconds. I think we're either going to have an overtake or a sprint at the finish here. So again, we'll stay with it. Christian again chasing down Robert here. What kit is Robert wearing? That's kind of cool. He's got the spotted gloves. So he has been helped to Zwift at least once. Yeah, you can see Christian really working on making up the gap here. I don't know if these two know each other. I know Ted knows Robert, so I don't know if they're both from the track. Oh, Christian's going to come right by here. And there he goes. Yeah, he went up into the 3s. And Robert now is trying to match Paris. So he may stay with, and we may end up with... There's a little kicker coming up, remember, around this corner. So you can see that this is the only non-flat part, really, of substance, so to speak, on this course. It hurts every time you hit it in a race. When you're not racing, you don't really notice it that much, but you definitely notice this hill when you're racing. And up to 19 meters now. Well, still in range. Here's the view from Robert following Christian. And once these two cross, I'm going to go, we'll cut the stream. I need to go lay down. I'm getting lightheaded again. But great job to everyone who's raced tonight. Digital Light Productions says thank you. That's David Reynolds. Check out his photography on Instagram if you haven't. A cyclist with a keen eye for art and creativity. And also very successful tonight, winning the group sprint. All right, so here they come to the very end, and it looks like, yep, Christian is going to take 16th. Robert coming across in 17th. This is Adelaide, I believe, a junior racer, Martin's very young daughter. He even looks skinny like a kid somehow in the avatar, doing her first race with us ever, I believe, and doing quite well. And then we have Ryan, Don's, who Don is not racing tonight. I don't know what he's doing, but he may have a real life on-road race this week. And then we have Annette. Oh, I did not give her a write-up. And so that will close out our field. Again, so awesome to have all these juniors in tonight. And thank you guys for watching. Frank says, good times. Thanks for hosting. Yeah, Frank, great job pulling it back and getting on the podium tonight. Again, appreciate you guys. I wish I was racing with you. It seems unlikely at this point that I'll get cleared to do so by the end of the series. But even if I'm, finishing 28th out of 27, I'm allowed to race. I'll be out there with you. So thanks for watching. Next week, same time, Thursday, 7 p.m. And we'll see you guys then.